Hello, this is Tamaris, and I'm going to be guiding you through this PowerPoint presentation about the RA job role. Some of the slides I recorded on a day when I sounded like Kristen, a former Res Life coordinator, so don't be surprised by the difference. If you missed something, don't worry, you can rewind, or you can put me on pause. Let's get started.
By the time this presentation ends, you will be able to identify the role of the resident assistant, understand what accommodation services Residence Life expects from you, identify the major tasks of the resident assistant, and understand the major skill sets of the RA position. So basically, you'll know the good, the bad, and the ugly of the RA role. So during this presentation, we will specifically cover questions and points on coming up weekend, office duties, on-call duties, time management, customer service, and feedback on your performance. The role of the resident assistant. If you are a new RA, we know that you read the RA job description prior to applying for the position. If you are a returning RA, you probably think that you have a pretty good idea of the post since you've done it before. This is true. Both groups of you will have an idea of the RA position. We encourage new RAs to ask the returning staff about their experiences and to hear more about what the RA position means to them. We have also uploaded some videos of current and previous RAs who answered some of the frequently asked questions that we hear from new staff, so make sure you watch those videos. So then, you'll be aware that the main purpose of the RA job is to ensure that new students to our accommodation are welcomed and integrated quickly into their new environment. You're also here to ensure that our residents have an enjoyable and trouble-free stay in their accommodation. Now, being trouble-free does not mean that they don't run into problems, but rather that they are assisted in resolving those issues in a timely and helpful manner. You're also here to ensure that in conjunction with your accommodation manager and warden, the environment in the houses is conducive to a healthy and happy living and study for all residents and neighbors. In order to do this, you must get to know your residents. Each RA will have approximately 40 residents that you are specifically assigned to check in with, and we have specific tasks that will help you to get to know them. An example of this is chit-chat meetings and flat visits, but we'll talk more about those later. Let's fast forward past training to coming up weekend, the weekend that the residents move in. In preparation for coming up weekend, you will be working on site preparation on Thursday and Friday. Your warden or accommodation manager will have a list of tasks for you and your fellow RAs to complete in order to help your site be ready for move-in. So please pay attention to details when you arrive. Residents then will move in on Saturday and Sunday. These days will be super long for you, so get prepared. Most RAs say that the adrenaline and excitement of meeting the new residents helps them to get through it. But do make sure you listen to your line manager and take breaks and eat meals when you're instructed. As you will know from the interview and job description, it is compulsory to be available both days, all day. So put those time management and planning skills to good use. Prepare to be busy. The main things you'll be doing during coming up weekend include, although this list is by no means exhaustive, welcoming residents to the building, giving out keys, showing residents to their room, handing out matriculation cards, and bedding packs if these are not ready in the resident's room, and generally answering a number of queries from new residents and their families. After residents move in, your main priority this week is to get them mixing and meeting other people. You'll do this by promoting Freshers Week events, as well as hosting your own events at your own site. So what will you be asked during coming up weekend? We can't tell you everything that new students and their families might ask, but there are some usual topic areas. The first is bedding packs. Residents had the option of pre-ordering bedding packs prior to arrival. If they did, then the domestic staff will work hard to ensure that these are waiting for residents in their rooms when they arrive. If someone didn't pre-purchase it, there is generally the option to purchase on arrival. Speak to your line manager about how many your site has and how to do this on the day. During on-site training, your line manager will also give you instructions on how to try to resolve any issues that may arise with bedding packs. Individuals saying that they purchased it but it's not in their room, residents who are roommates who say the other roommate took their bedding pack, or how to find more bedding packs to sell in the day if you've run out. The next big question is always about parking. Parking is limited in Edinburgh overall. This year, with the amount of students moving in, parking is extremely limited. We do not recommend that students bring cars to keep with them at university. However, if they're living in Pollock and there are parking spaces available, residents must apply for a permit through the Pollock Reception Center. This is not a guarantee. For flats, residents must refer to the university's parking regulation for university grounds, as well as the City of Edinburgh's Council's regulations for parking permits in the city. The third big question is always about KeyCom, our telephone and internet providers. Information instructions will be provided for each resident in their welcome pack. However, it may require that you go with a resident who is having problems to help troubleshoot. This includes trying to ensure that they have plugged the Ethernet cord into their computer and aren't trying to access wireless. Secondly, have they registered correctly? If you cannot assist, direct the residents to call or visit the KeyCom help desk. They have specific hours during coming up weekend and Freshers Week because they do expect more questions during this period. Residents might also ask you about local information, recommendations on restaurants, or how to get to the local grocery store. Even what is the local store called if students are international. They may not know Tesco or Sainsbury's. They might ask how to use the buses or what buses get them from different areas of town. It's always good to have an idea. To have a map printed to show people also helps. A map of our traditional accommodation in reference to local stores was created by a previous RA and can be found in the resources section of this e-induction. Residents will also have questions about how to matriculate, what is good to attend during Freshers Week, when International Student Orientation is, and if they really need to go to their college orientation sessions. Use your experience as a student, as well as information that Residence Life will provide to all of you about these topics to answer these questions.
Like any other job, the RA post comes with a set of general expectations that have been set according to the standard of services we have promised to provide our students. Frequent communication with your line manager is crucial, and so we strongly suggest that you take every opportunity to clarify with your line manager what their preferred methods of communication and their expectations are. Event planning is the main focus of your RA post, and we expect you to approach it as such. During training at the end of August, we will be covering the event expectations in more detail. You will be expected to follow those instructions and ensure that all events are reported within 24 hours using the event form found under the e-induction resources. In order to provide your residents with the best possible event opportunities and support, it is important that you get to know them and that they get to know you. Be available to your residents and present at your site. Maintaining presence will allow you to cultivate profound relationships with your residents, discover their individual interests, increase event participation, and address any concerns in the most effective and helpful way possible. Along the same spirit of availability, as an RA, you are expected to be on call and ready to respond to any emergencies or student requests that occur after hours, when the domestic staff is not around. By attending your assigned office hours and attending the RA mobile, you should make sure that there is continued coverage at your site. Remember to never leave the RA mobile unattended during on-call hours and to follow all procedures carefully when handling keys. Our promise to you is that you will always be treated as young professionals, with the privileges and responsibilities that entails. In return, we expect you to be on time for training and meetings, and come prepared with a pen, your calendar, and a notepad. Please keep in mind that poor planning for academic pursuits, other work commitments, or society meetings are not acceptable excuses for requesting leave or absence from a meeting. In your confrontation with your residents, you are required to adhere to policy and safety violations, and to be respectful and professional when dealing with students, parents, other departments of the university, or emergency professionals. In other words, you are the face of the University of Edinburgh. No pressure. On top of that, you are role models among peers, and all eyes will be on you. High-risk behaviors should be avoided at all times. Living life in a fishbowl means that you can never know when you're being observed and what decisions of others you might influence with your behavior. All this gives a very different meaning to the phrase, "you're never alone." By upholding all university policies and exhibiting a positive attitude, you will overcome all challenges and show pride in your job, your site, and your university. Remember to always treat others with respect and dignity. As a role model, you're expected to admit your mistakes. We're all going to make some. Refrain from gossiping about your residents or peers and make professional use of the social media. As students, we expect you to maintain your high academic standards throughout your career as an RA. Finding a balance between your academics, RA role, and social life is going to get you through the year and allow you to enjoy all aspects of your life. Manage your time wisely. Your residents are students too. Ask them about their life, their academics, and make them aware of the resources and support services offered by the university. In addition, think about bringing the academic support to them by involving lecturers and university staff in your academic events.
Office duties. During the year, one of your most regular tasks will be to host office hours at your house or site office. This is a time where you as the RA are available and visible to all of the residents in your accommodation. The specific amount of time that you will spend in office hours each week is dependent upon the size of your RA staff at your site. But generally, it's 1 hour per week per person. During your on-site training, your line manager will create a rota for office hours that includes you and the other RAs in your area. This time is extremely important because it is the publicized time for residents to come speak to a member of the residence life team at their site. This is when many of them will come to you for a private or personal question. Your line manager may also leave tasks for you to complete during that hour, so make sure to look for specific instructions on a daily basis. More important, be on time. If there is an unforeseeable conflict with your office hours, ensure that you update your line manager and they will provide you with instructions on how to get coverage. Usually, this means that you need to ask one of your fellow RAs in your team to cover or switch with you so that the office hour is still held and residents aren't inconvenienced. Please note that this should not be a regular occurrence and only used for unseeable conflicts. Proper time management and planning are key to the RA position, and that means planning appropriately so you will be in attendance on time for your office hour. On call. This is the part of the job that can cause RAs to become nervous or anxious. First, take a deep breath. You are never alone, even when you are the RA on call. When acting as the RA on duty, you must remain contactable at all times. For this, an RA mobile is provided to your site. This mobile is for professional use only. So first, always ensure that there is charge on the phone and that you have the charger for it. Secondly, the RA on call remains on site. On weekdays, you are on call from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. the next morning. This includes Monday through Thursday. During these evenings, during this time, you must remain on your site. On weekends, Friday night through Monday morning, you are on call 24/7. This means that even during the day, you can be called to assist residents. On the weekend, we do allow that you might need to run some quick errands, such as going to the store to buy food or working at the library. With this in mind, we do allow that on Saturday and Sundays during the day, you can be off-site, but you must remain within a 30-minute radius of your site. This means that if you are called, you must answer the RA phone, and you must be able to be back at your site within 30 minutes to help resolve any issues. Just like during the week, you must be back on site by 6 p.m., and from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m., you cannot leave the site. Even more importantly, you cannot drink or be in any way intoxicated while you are on call. Your line manager and your RA team will create an RA on duty rota for your site. Any changes to this rota must be approved to your line manager prior to the date of the change.
On-call continued. Who you're on call for depends on what site you're actually hired to. So let's start with the self-catered flats. Prior to coming up weekend, Your accommodation manager will meet with the RAs of your site to determine the RA on-call rota. When you're on call, you're the first contact in your site and need to have the RA mobile with you at all times. For many, the RA mobile rota will encompass your RA team's area flats. This is generally based around sites that are supervised by one accommodation manager. Other sites will have a phone that only relates to their site. These are generally the sites that are supervised this year by Nicola Hazelton.
Now let's look at the sites that are supervised by wardens. These include not only public halls, but also David Horn, Kitchener, Fraser Court, Milnes Court, and Richmond Place. Prior to coming up weekend, your warden will meet with the RAs of your site to determine the RA on-call rota. When you are on call, you are the first contact in your site and need to have the RA mobile with you at all times. In Pollock, a new change this year is that there is no longer a Pollock site mobile. Instead, each individual house will have its own RA mobile. So just like in the flats, the RA on call is the first contact for assistance. But instead of being on call for any house in Pollock, you are solely responsible for the house in which you reside. The same is true for Fraser Court, Milnes, and Richmond. When you are the RA on call, the RA mobile that you carry is just for your specific site. The only difference is David Horn and Kitchener House. You will share one phone and therefore can be called to assist with situations arising in either David Horn or Kitchener. So when you are on call, what happens? The first thing is the fact that you must answer the phone when it rings. Always remember to answer the phone in a professional manner. This means saying, "Hello," and then you name the site which you are on call for, and then your name. For example, I would say, "Hello, John Burnett House RA on call. This is Kristen." Ensure that you can write down any relevant information. This generally includes the names of students that you need to assist, the involved flat or room, and possibly the name of the security staff member who you are assisting. Next, you will try to assist as best you can. Many times, you will simply be called and asked to complete a specific task. Once the assistance has been given, the issue resolved, or at least resolved insofar as it can wait until the accommodation manager or warden can follow up, you need to update your line manager and relevant staff. This means documenting what happened, why you were called, what you did, and what the status of the situation when you left, as well as any steps that are in the process of happening, are all important things to remember. When you arrive for training in August, we will specifically go over the system that we use to input these incidents. However, if it is a theft, remember that police must be called and they will also write their own official report. If you contact Pollock Security and they're in attendance with you, they will also write an official report. You must still update your line manager, but you can reference the fact that security or the police also submitted their reports.
After dealing with any situation involving a student that your line manager should be aware of, you are required to submit an incident report found under the induction resources and paperwork. In order for your line manager to be able to follow up with a student the next day, you need to include all the names of the people involved and fill out all the fields in the form. Remember that this is a professional update to your line manager. There is no reason to get personal. Keep to the facts and make sure you know the time and location of the incident. Now please pause to take a closer look at an example of a poorly written incident report and that of a well-written one. The differences are quite obvious.
Documenting work. Residence life and your line managers need to be able to document what work you have done. Part of this is in reference to human resources regulations to show that you are being adequately reimbursed for the work that you do as an RA through your rent reduction. You will remember from the job description that we think it is approximately 30 hours of work per month. However, we know that in September and October with the new students, you will be doing significantly more hours than 30 per month. However, this is offset by months when there is a holiday or a break, such as December and January, or March and April, when you're doing less work because you are not here. We will discuss in training the specifics of how you will update your line manager on the work that you are doing. But what does this include? It will include the completion of set tasks, such as flat visits, chit-chats, interim review preparation, etc. The specific work you have done for planning and implementing events, updates on your residents, information from your house office hours, reminder of the situations that you have dealt with when on call, and any other information that you want to update to your line manager. If you do not document and keep your line manager updated on what you have been doing, it is a job performance issue. Continued non-submission will be documented in your annual review, and in conjunction with other job performance concerns, can lead to your being asked to leave the RA post. Being an RA is a lifestyle, but it's also a job. Treat it with the respect that you would any job, anywhere. Duties. In addition to being on call, the RA position has a number of other duties. These include attending all set meetings. You will have meetings with your specific line manager, as well as 4 full Residence Life team meetings throughout the year where you will see all of the other RAs. You and your fellow RAs are responsible for planning events hosted at your site. We'll discuss the specifics of this in a later training session. You must also communicate regularly with your residents. To help with this, there are some set tasks where you will need to go and see all of your residents. These include flatter resident visits in September, January, and May to discuss information specifically related to that time of year, such as welcome, holiday closures, electricity consumption, and how to move out. You will also complete what are called chit-chats with each of your residents individually, but we'll talk more specifically about that when we see you in person. As an RA, you will also be asked by residents what to do when something in their flat, room, bathroom, or pantry and kitchen breaks. If you are in the self-catered flats, your accommodation manager will explain how to record this in the repair book for the accommodation manager or staff to resolve later. In Pollock, there are repair forms available for our residents to complete and to submit to the house office at any time, day or night. In our private accommodations, you will have specific information from the office there on how to report breakages. If a repair is urgent, for example, the shower has flooded and is now leaking through the floor into the flat below, RAs both in the flats as well as Pollock will call the Pollock Help Desk, which is answered by security. They can either assist themselves or call out a tradesman. Although this may seem self-evident, you are hired for a set contract. You are expected to be working as an RA until the end of that contract. There are always tasks right up until move-out that the RAs need to assist with. So please ensure that you do not book travel plans or leave before your contract expires. You can see the dates that the contracts end written here. As the RAs, you will be called to assist most often during what we consider out of hours. This means it is not during the traditional business day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Since residents live with us, we know that most of their concerns will happen out with regular working hours. That's why the RA post is live-in. When students come home from class or over the weekend is traditionally when we hear about their concerns. This includes disputes over cleanliness, homesick, or other issues. If you can resolve it based on your training and experience, do. If you cannot, then you must at least get the ball rolling in order to help that resident. This may be as easy as saying, I can't specifically fix that right now. It is 3 a.m. However, we'll leave a message right now for the accommodation manager warden, and they will follow up with you. You should also tell the resident when the warden or accommodation manager will follow up, but this will be based on the date and time that you're helping the student. If it's urgent, don't leave the student hanging. Contact further help at that time. If you are new, this might mean asking one of your fellow RAs for assistance. In sites with wardens, it might be calling your warden for help. Or it might be so urgent that you need to call security. Security can reach all of the accommodation managers if the situation warrants, and they can also contact the Residence Life Coordinator on call. You might find that the situation is so urgent that you need emergency personnel. In this case, call 999 and then update our security so that they can direct the police, fire, or ambulance when they arrive on site. Don't worry, We will discuss specific situations and how you will respond during the difficult situations session at training in September. But if I could tell you just one thing, it would be, don't panic. In order to complete the RA post to the best of your ability, you will need to utilize a variety of skills. There is an entire session on skills, so we will not delve too far into this right now. However, the skills that we look at for our RAs to utilize and to continue to develop throughout their time with us include interpersonal skills. This is your ability to build relationships and a community. Communication, teamwork, problem solving, taking initiative, planning and administration, and dedication to learning. Time management. You've already heard me mention this skill, and you will continue to hear us mention it all year. Being a successful RA means balancing your time wisely and planning appropriately. Residence Life will give you the dates of the mandatory team meetings, which are compulsory to attend, when you arrive for training in August. These dates should immediately go into your diaries or planners so that you don't forget them. Your line managers will also tell you what your weekly or monthly site RA meetings will be. Ensure that you are always in attendance for those meetings. We've already discussed the importance of being at your weekly office hour, so I know you won't forget that. Find tools that help you manage your time and use them. This can be a planner, your smartphone, an email system with reminders, whatever works for you, as long as it works. Poor planning is not an excuse to be late or to miss deadlines.
The timesheets are no more. Yay! For those who have no idea what those are, don't worry because they are no more. As a way to keep in touch with your line manager and keep track of your performance throughout the year, we will be using the RA monthly report. At the end of every month, you need to fill out the corresponding monthly report found under the induction resources. The report will be saved on induction, where your line manager will be able to access it and use it as a starting point during your meetings. What the monthly report includes is a list of tasks relevant to the month or general tasks of the post that you need to fulfill on a monthly basis. In addition, there are 3 short answer questions that will allow you to elaborate on your tasks, accomplishments, future plans, and difficult situations that you had to face. Please keep in mind that completing the monthly report on time is part of your RA responsibilities. Here is an example of what the first monthly report for September looks like. Pause if you would like to take a look at the individual questions.
Accommodation Services believes that good customer service is extremely important. So who are our customers? If you said the students, that's absolutely correct. But in Residence Life, our customers can also include the families of students, the university staff members that we collaborate, such as USA, careers, counseling, or basically anyone that you come in contact with. So why is customer service important? It proves to the people that we are interacting with that we care about them and we want to help provide the best experience possible. It makes a difference to those with whom you are interacting. And really, it helps make friends, not enemies. Feedback. During your time as an RA, the only way you can improve is through feedback. Residence Life takes feedback very seriously. We want to provide it to you in a constructive manner while also asking you to feedback to us what else we can do to assist or make your position better. The RA is a very responsible role and it should be treated as a job. Because as fun as the RA post is, it actually is a tough job. This means that there will be formal and informal feedback given to you on the performance of your role. Your line manager will give you feedback informally throughout the year. If there are any concerns about your performance, your line manager will raise these with you privately and provide some suggestions on how you can improve. You will then be given the opportunity to progress. Following processes set in place by Human Resources, you will also have formal feedback meetings with your line manager. We call these annual reviews and interim reviews. When those dates are coming up, we will provide you with more specific information on how to prepare. The annual review will need to be completed by the time you leave in December for winter break, and your interim review will be completed prior to rehire decisions in March. If there are any concerns about your performance, you'll be asked to have more regular meetings to discuss your progress. These may also include the Residence Life Coordinator. In addition, Residence Life will ask you for your feedback on training at the end of the week. Be constructive. This upcoming year, we've made a lot of changes to training due to feedback from people who are sitting in your spot in previous years. Residence Life will also ask for your feedback on your site team when All of Accommodation Services does their staff survey. Your opinion matters. Thank you for taking the time to complete this important introduction to the resident assistant post. As you can see, there's a lot for you to learn and do. In summary, you should now have a full overview of what Residence Life expects for you in your position as a resident assistant. We will talk about the specifics of events, responding to emergencies while on call, and what other resources you can call on for help during later sessions, both in this e-induction and in person when you arrive in August. Remember, we want you to be successful, and there are mechanisms in place to ensure that you fulfill your duties and improve.